one-word formula to harness the infinite organizing power of total natural law. Presentation by Dr. Peter Freund. March 30th, 2018. Full moon celebration at Maharishi University of Management in Fairfield, Iowa, USA. Shiksha is a branch of Vedic literature dealing with pronunciation, how to express in speech. Baitha is a branch of Shiksha. Baitha means express in a nutshell or formula. The text Dr. Freund will describe is called Pada Ratna, or Ekakshara Baitha. For more details on the Ekakshara Baitha, see the book by Dr. Mrs. Bhagyalata Patashkar, published in India in 2014. The theme of this talk is located in the principle of Vedic education, Alpakal Vidya Sab Ai. Total knowledge is gained in a short time.
Shutrukautya Pupushida Shovyubhradri Jabhagigu Buchote Taiji Idam Shreshtham Vuno Shri Shah Chaili Jushi Punung Yade Korotika Luchupalai Katibhidi Now vow. Very good. This was the first eighth, or the first ashtaka. So we recited the one-word formulas for all the paragraphs in the first eighth of the Rig Veda. 1/8 of the whole thing we did in just those few minutes. Good question. The question was, what do I mean by the first eighth? And the answer to that is, we're familiar with the primary division of the Rig Veda into 10 mandalas, and then the mandalas are divided into suktas, and the suktas into richas. There's another division in which the whole is divided into 8 books. They're called ashtakas. And each book has exactly 8 chapters. And within the chapters, there are paragraphs, and the number of paragraphs varies. It's roughly from 30 to 50 in each chapter. So we did one book, one ashtaka. And each syllable, consonant and vowel together, was one formula for one paragraph. That we did that many. So a paragraph is a collection of richas. This is a truth in advertising. We're not using the whole Vedic alphabet in what we're about to do. The letters we're going to use are the ones in red here. So you may be missing some of the others, you won't see them. So now we're going to talk about how we use letters in Ekakshara Baitha to represent numbers. So we're going to get into some, I think maybe mathematics is too strong a word, but some arithmetic. So we have 32 consonants and 10 vowels. Let's look at and here's the first paragraph of Rig Veda. So you can see there's 5 lines, 5 richas. This is the first paragraph. So we're going to be focusing on the first paragraph as an example. So now, the one-word formula expresses 6 quantities for every paragraph. It tells you the number of words ending in N, the number of words that end in, and we say H here, but it's actually visarga, the number of words ending with that. In transliteration, it's H with a dot under it. And then the number of compound words. Compound words are marked in the word-by-word recitation with a little kind of a figure-8 sort of thing called an avagraha. So the number of words with the avagraha, they're listed That's the number 3 thing. The 4th is the number of words ending in C, to, and se. And then 5th is the number of inviolate words. This is words whose endings do not change no matter what comes after it. The technical term is pragrihya, but we'll just call them inviolate words. When things come together with them, they don't mix. Usually when 2 vowels come together in Sanskrit, they mix and they create another vowel, and that's called sandhi, and that's what happens in Samhita when you put things together. But these are words that they don't mix. Nothing changes at the word boundary. And then finally, the number of words in the paragraph. Now that's a lot of information to put in one syllable. Let's see how we do it. Our first main point is, if we know the number of words in a paragraph, how many of those are compounds, how many are inviolate words, and how many words have special endings, we know enough to uniquely characterize that paragraph and bring it to mind to have that paragraph on our table. So the key of how we're going to do this is with modular arithmetic. And that modular arithmetic is a kind of arithmetic you're all very familiar with in clocks, where when you get to the top, you just wrap around and start over again. So you don't carry a value into some other column, or you don't store the value of how many times you've been around the circle. Where you are now in the cycle, in the progression, that's what's important. We don't know how many hours and hours have come till now, but we're pretty close to 8:20, like it says on the clock here. So the one-word formula uses 2 particular modulus values. One of them is modulus 2, which means basically binary, where we have 0 and 1. So since we throw out all the 2's, there's only one value left, and that's either even, which is 0, or odd, which is 1. Similarly, modulus 5, in this case, the way it's done is they count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are the 5 numbers that they use. So the clock is the example of this. And the clock is important to us because we do different things at different times of the day. So there's different laws of nature that are lively at particular times. So the time is meaningful to us more than the knowledge of how many days or how many weeks or how many years have gone. We want to know, what are the laws of nature lively right now? It's 8:20, the sun has gone down, we're settling down for the night. These are particular laws of nature, and that time tells us that. So the characteristic, the quality of laws of nature is indicated by this modular value. This is what we're doing with modular arithmetic. So modular arithmetic allows us to track the cycles of natural law in the sequential unfoldment of Veda and emphasize what is unique or special in each paragraph. So now, using letters to represent numbers, there are 32 consonants that we're using. One consonant we're not using is the palatal N. It doesn't really stand on its own very well. It's always with another, usually palatal consonant. So we're dropping that one out, and we have 8 groups of 4. Each group has 4, and in each group, we're going to assign the first member 0, and then the second member 1, and the third member 2, and the fourth member 3. And we have 8 groups, and we're going to number them 0 through 7, okay? That seems pretty clear. And we know these groups. They're the different places in the mouth, the back, ka, ka, ga, and ga. And then we're leaving out the nasals and putting the nasals together as another group. So we're familiar with what these groups are. There's nothing. The order has been changed somewhat arbitrarily, but we'll see how that's important later. So now, we're going to do something interesting. We have these group numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to represent those numbers base 2. So group 0 is 0, 0, 0, right? And group 7 is 7 in base 2, which is 1, 1, 1. The first the first column is 4, and the second column is worth 2, and the third column is worth 1, right? So 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. So these are just representing the numbers of the group in binary form. Nothing real magical there, okay? The usefulness of it is now we have these 3 columns, and they're 0 or 1, and the first column indicates the number of words that end in N in that paragraph that we're dealing with. The number of words ending in N. And then the second column is the number of words ending in H, in Visarga. And the third is the number of compound words. Now, each of these is being represented as modulus 2. So if we're taking out all the 2's, take out all the 2's, and then we're left with either 0 or 1. And that 0 or 1 is represented in this column. So then, depending on what we get when we measure the words ending in N and the words ending in H and the compound words, then we'll look over and see which group that is. And then that will tell us which of these groups of consonants that we'll use. So the number of inviolate words is counted using base 4. The initial letter of the conjunct cluster indicates 0, 1, 2, or 3. So we're going to build a conjunct cluster and then add a vowel to it. But most of the time, most of the paragraphs in Rig Veda have 3 or less inviolate words. So usually we don't have to add these other letters, but there's some letters that we can add, and they're listed here. You can add a ya if you want to add 4. You can add a na if you want to add 8. So we can get as much as 31 inviolate words in a paragraph. And then we would have, for example, DHVMA, dvama. And the DH is worth 3. It's the 4th one in its series. And the va is worth 12, and the ma is worth 16, so that makes 31. So now the consonant part of the syllable contains 4 of the 6 parameters that we said that we were going to measure. The number of words ending in N, we're going to see some examples, and that's modulus 2, so it's either odd or even. And then the number of words ending in Visarga, in H, and again, that's modulus 2, either odd or even. The number of compound words, that's modulus 2, either odd or even. And then finally, the number of inviolate words. And we're going to actually count them, and we're going to have an actual number, not a modular number, but we're doing it in base 4. So now, for the vowels, we're going to use the vowels also to represent numbers. And we have 10 vowels, and we're making 2 rows of 5. And the first group, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a, e, and u. And then the second group of 5 is u, a, I, o, and ow. So that means for each number, we have 2 different vowels that we can use. So if we, for example, if we want 3 to represent the number 3, we could use an E or an I. But that means we can show some other information as to whether we chose the E or the I. And what we do is that if the sum of words ending in si, tu, and se is even, then we use the first row of vowels. And if that sum is odd, we use the second row. So the vowel part of the syllable contains the last 2 of the 6 parameters, the number of words ending in si, tu, and se, modulus 2, either odd or even, and the number of words in the paragraph. And that's being done modulus 5. Modulus 5 means we take the number of words and we cast out 5s. We keep taking out 5s until there's left only 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then that's the number that we keep. So our one-word formula expresses these 6 quantities for every paragraph. And now we're going to do an example, and hopefully this will answer all your questions. And the first paragraph of Rig Veda has the one-syllable formula nge. That's an N, and the N has a dot over it. And in Sanskrit, we have more than one N. And in English, an N is an N, doesn't matter. But when we say the word no, for example, we use the tongue against the base of the teeth. But when we say the N in the word angle, the N is in the back of the throat. Now this N in nge is the N in the back of the throat. So now we're going to run through these. In the paragraph, we're looking in this paragraph, and there is one word, and one word only, that ends in N. So the words ending in N are odd, okay? Words ending in H, visarga, there's 17 of them. They're all circled, you can count them. "17 is odd, so the answer to this one is odd. Compound words, you see that little curlicue thing in the middle of each one of these that indicates it's a compound word. And there's 8 of these, and 8 is even. And then the inviolate words are marked in the word-by-word recitation with the word iti. And there aren't any like that in this paragraph. I'm sorry for the poorness of the example, but we wanted to use the first one, first paragraph. So determining the consonant for paragraph 1. Words ending in N, there's 1, that's odd, okay? Words ending in H, there's 17, that's odd. Compound words are 8, that's even. So we've got odd, odd, even. And we can represent that as 1, 1, 0. And 1, 1, 0 is equal to 6. It means group 6. And group 6 has 4 members, nga, na, na, and ma. Those are the nasals, okay? There are 0 inviolate words, and the value of the first member of the groups of 4 is 0. So that means we take the first one. So group 6 here, a little distorted. Group 6, nga, na, na, ma. The first one is nga. So this is how we got the consonant nga, which is the consonant for the one-word formula for the first paragraph. Now the number of words in the paragraph, 8, 11, 8, 11, and 9, that makes 47. So if we cast out 5s and do this 47 in modulus 5, then we have 2. So there's 2 words in the last panchika. So 2 is the value we want to represent. And now we're going to go through the words ending in si, tu, and se. And there is one word ending in si. It's the word asi in verse 4. And words ending in tu don't happen very often. None of them here. Words ending in se, none of them here. So for si, tu, and se, we have 1 value. So it's odd, okay? In the first varga, the sum of the words is odd. So the second series of 5 vowels is used. Remember, we were going to use the first series of 5 if it was even, the second series of 5 if it's odd. So we're using the second series. So here are the 5 listed. And now because the value we want to use is 2, there were 2 words in the last panchika, so the vowel is A. So therefore, the Baitha syllable for paragraph 1 is nge. And I wanted to mention at the beginning of each page of recitation that we did as a group, there's a pronunciation of the seed of that chapter. And in this case, it was Agni Mile, so we're just pointing that out. So now in the first paragraph, all these different words that we've been mentioning in different contexts, they come up to be 23 out of the 47 words. It's about half. So with this one syllable, we've we have pointers going to 23 different words. It's very, very efficient. So our second main point, with the help of modular arithmetic and counting with base 4, we can pack 6 pieces of specific information about the unique qualities of paragraph into a single syllable. This is the technology of bringing each paragraph of Rig Veda onto one's table. The purpose, the advantage is you can have that whole value in your awareness at one time. And now you can do 10 syllables at a time and have 10 paragraphs in your awareness at one time. You can do the whole chapter, the whole book like we did, and have the whole thing in your awareness at one time. That's the advantage. We can enliven the memory of each paragraph, bringing out its salient, unique characteristics with a single syllable. We can recite the letters for one of the 8 books of Rig Veda in 3 minutes, for the whole Rig Veda in less than half an hour. So the Ekakshara Baitha, the one-word formula to enliven the organizing power of natural law in one paragraph. By bringing to awareness the whole of Rig Veda, we enliven total natural law in the awareness. Total natural law is contained in the first syllable of Rig Veda, ah. The enlivenment of total natural law in the awareness through the recitation of the one-word formulas brings perfection to the pronunciation of ah. The purpose of the one-word formula is to refine the pronunciation of ah so that total natural law is harnessed with every impulse of thought and speech, and desires are quickly fulfilled by nature, and life is lived in perfection. So Ekakshara Baitha, the one-word formula, teaches how to pronounce ah, how to experience ah as the reverberation of total natural law in one's own self-referral consciousness. So our third main point, the one-word formula is a simple technology from the field of Shiksha to gain total knowledge in a short time. So our unity chart, we're wanting to tie all this together. I'm not sure how well we'll do. We'll give it a try. The surface level of understanding, the Rig Veda contains 10,000 verses. The recitation of the entire Rig Veda, the complete compendium or encyclopedia of total natural law, takes about 14 days. Deeper understanding, the Ekakshara Baitha, the one-word formula, to enliven the memory of each paragraph of the Vedic text. The memory of the entire Rig Veda is succinctly summarized in 64 lines of text, taking about 30 minutes to recite. Total knowledge can be enlivened in the awareness in a very short time. Singularity, transcendental consciousness, the total potential of natural law is lively in the pure wakefulness of transcendental consciousness, the silent, omnipresent basis of the whole creation. Impulses, the most basic impulse of total natural law is the sound ah, the first word of Rig Veda, which is contained in every letter of the Sanskrit alphabet. The sound ah is the one-word formula to enliven the total potential of natural law in human awareness. Wholeness moving within itself, the goal of Rig Veda is found in its starting point, ah, and in the memory of its complete expression, succinctly summarized in the Baitha. The goal of Rig Veda is complete coherence and orderliness of society brought about by the collective practice of yogic flying. Be together, speak together, know your minds to be functioning together from a common source. As in the beginning, all the laws of nature function together in ah to create the whole creation.